Hey guys, welcome back. Today we're going to be doing a product review and we're testing 3 fluid facial sunscreens, meaning they're very lightweight in consistency. They go on the skin really smooth. So let's compare the differences, the pros, the cons of each, and let you decide which one comes out as the winner. So as you guys know, sunscreen is one of the most important steps in a skincare routine. I would say probably the most important thing for preventing aging of the skin, that's developing wrinkles, lines, and also just for preventing skin cancer. There's really no product you can put on your skin that will do more for you over the long run than what a sunscreen will do for you. So today we're going to be talking about 3 different fluid sunscreens. They're fluid, meaning they're very lightweight in texture. They're kind of runny as you go to put them on. And you might choose a sunscreen like this because of the ease of application, that it feels very lightweight on the face, and you can actually use makeup over the top of them because they go on and they're not heavy or sticky. I've long said that the best sunscreen is the one that you like to use, so finding sunscreens that have a different texture or use different technology in them can really play to your advantage by finding a sunscreen that makes it easy for you to use every single day, because using a sunscreen every day is going to do more for you than anything, just like we said. So without any further delay, let's jump into it. The first candidate that we're going to review today is the Mega Shade by Zitsticka. This fluid sunscreen is one that I've reviewed before on the channel. In fact, I dedicated a whole video to it because it has become one of my favorite daily sunscreens. The Mega Shade is an SPF 50, but it is not water resistant, so that is potentially one drawback. But most of the time you don't need a water resistant sunscreen when it's just your daily go-to. If you are going to be going out and working out, or you're going to be getting in the water, you'd probably want to choose a different sunscreen as your morning sunscreen. But for a daily morning sunscreen, I really love using this one. It goes on very smooth. You get 1.69, 1.7 fluid ounces, and this retails for $40. So that is a pretty expensive sunscreen. It's not the most expensive one that we're going to review here today, but we're going to go ahead and put it on the skin. We're going to talk about how it feels, and then I'll give you my opinions about all 3 as we get to the end of the video. So as you know, the ideal time to put on a sunscreen is in the morning, after you've cleansed your face. Now, I do often recommend using a vitamin C as well. We're skipping that step because we're just focusing on the sunscreens here today. And the first is the Mega Shade. We're going to put this one on and kind of see how it feels again. UVA, UVB, broad spectrum protection, SPF 50, not water resistant, retails at $40. So this one comes in a little dropper there, and you get probably 2/3 of the way up there. Spilled some out. We just want to look at the texture here. So I'm going to put that in my hand. And with one dropper, we got like a dime-sized amount. So to cover the face, I'm going to do another one, and I think that should give me about that, 2 finger width recommendation to get sunscreen to cover your face and your ears and your neck. So again, that's about how much sunscreen I have in the palm. We're going to put that on, rub it between the hands. I've done enough surgery on the ears that I always make sure to get the back of the ears. And you can always go back and get more if you feel like you need it. It's always better to use too much sunscreen than not enough and find out later. So looking at this one, goes on very smooth, doesn't give me any white cast, feels pretty good, it's pretty silky on the skin. I don't wear makeup, of course, so I can't really speak to how easy it would be to put makeup on over the top, but I don't feel like there's a heavy film on my skin. And it doesn't have a bad odor to it or anything like that. So this would remain one of my favorites. And I feel like the ease of application is there. Having the dropper, you do have to do it a couple of times. So it's not too challenging, but those are kind of the initial application thoughts on the Zitsticka Mega Shade. So once again, I do love the Mega Shade sunscreen. This has been one that I use very frequently in my skincare routine. It is a chemical sunscreen, as we talked about, so the active ingredients are homosalate, octinoxalate, octosalate, and zinc oxide, so it does have a little bit of the zinc in there, but it's primarily a chemical sunscreen. This is very good for acne-prone skin. It's not going to break you out. It provides really good protection at an SPF of 50, so this is still one that I would highly recommend to you. And again, if you haven't checked out the full video review, make sure you go check that out on my channel. So we know that the Mega Shade is going to be hard to beat. It's one that I've praised for a long time, but our first contender to this today is 11 by Venus. This is the Unrivaled Sun Serum by Venus Williams and her skincare brand 11. She also makes a lot of apparel and other things. Now, If you're a tennis player, you spend a lot of time outdoors, and sunscreen is really, really important. And of course, if you have darker skin types, sunscreen can really be hard to apply because it's often going to leave you a white cast. This sunscreen really is trying to do something different, however, by being a purely physical sunscreen. It's a 25% zinc oxide, which in most circumstances should leave you with a terrible, really chalky white cast. This claims that it's invisible, so we're going to try it on the skin and see if it meets up to that claim as being a completely silky, invisible, but still totally zinc sunscreen. And this one offers SPF 35. So we're going to see how it feels. We're going to talk about it. This one does come in a little bit on the higher side. It's the most expensive one we're going to look at today, this being at $50 retail value. Also at that $50 price point, you're only getting 1 ounce. So this is also the smallest size of the sunscreens that we're getting here today. But if you're a diehard fan of a completely physical sunscreen, this may be a good one to pick up. You get 1 ounce for $50. It is 100% mineral sunscreen, which is at 25% zinc oxide. Should be a really bad challenge to make it without having a white cast. So we're going to see how it does. Again, we're going to pop it up there. Just as you open the container, you can see that little yellow pop just a little bit. I don't know how well you can see that on the camera. So then we're going to unscrew the cap. This being a fluid sunscreen, it's going to use a dropper style as well, but this is our dropper. Rather than a dropper you can squeeze, we push that button. And it doesn't depress very far, so we're going to get that down in there. And with that, we're getting about half of the dropper full. And also, when you put this in, it's not going down to the bottom, so I worry that it might be challenging to get some of this out at the end, because it's going to be hard to kind of tip and get that. So you may end up just kind of pouring this into your hand as you get down to the end of the bottle. So again, I'm going to put this all the way back in there. Now we've got the dropper. Now we're going to see how much we've got. So that is how much we got out of one dropper. Definitely less than the Mega Shade by Zitsticka. We're going to have to do this again if we want to get enough to cover the face. Okay, so now I think I have enough to cover the hand. Ooh, that's really runny. Definitely a fluid sunscreen. We're going to put that on now. I really like the scent of this one. There's no fragrance added, but it does not smell like a sunscreen. Initially, the Mega Shade feels just a touch sticky, but then that wears off almost instantly. This doesn't feel that way at all. Okay, so we got that covered pretty well. This does not have a white cast. This actually feels great on the skin. Very cosmetically elegant for any sunscreen, especially something that's a 25% zinc. This feels really nice. It's not water resistant like we talked about. This would be a great daily sunscreen. I could certainly endorse using this every day. I feel a little bit shiny under the lights here. I assume that's going to wear off a little bit with time. But again, 25% zinc oxide. They definitely hit it out of the park as far as not being a sunscreen that gives you a white cast. Price point's a little high, but we'll go back and I'll give you the rest of my thoughts. All right, so 11 by Venus actually did a really good job of going on and being very silky and essentially invisible for being a 25% zinc oxide, completely mineral sunscreen. I was very impressed with the way this one felt and the way that it went on the skin. I could definitely endorse and recommend this as one that's not going to leave a white cast. Would be great for all skin types. Of course, just like the Mega Shade that we talked about, this is not water resistant. So if you're truly going to be out there playing tennis for a long time, you're probably going to want something that does have some water resistant character to it, just so that you're not going to sweat it off within a few minutes of putting it on. But this is a great daily sunscreen. I imagine makeup would go on over the top without any problem. The price point is a bit of a drawback to it, being only 1 ounce and costing $50. You are going to be spending quite a bit for this one. And because it's only 1 ounce, if you're putting on the amount of sunscreen that you should, you are going to go through this pretty quick. My biggest complaint about this sunscreen, other than the price, is the mechanism of application. I really don't care for the way that this one is dispensed. I find that the dropper on the Mega Shade is much easier to use This one, as you pop it up, you really don't have a lot of room here to depress that button, and you got to put it in and out of the bottle several times just to draw up enough of the product to get a good application on the face. So that would be my recommendation to the company, is to change the method of application. If you want to stick with the kind of bottle like this, just go to a regular dropper. I like that a lot better. This is just a lot of work to get out. But primarily, other than the dropper application technique that they use and a little bit higher price point, it's a great sunscreen and I would highly recommend it. I am probably going to favor the Mega Shade a little bit more here just because I like the dropper better. It is at a better price point, but if you're die-hard needing a physical sunscreen only, then you're probably going to want to go with the 11 by Venus, and I would think that you'll be very happy with that. Our third contender today is going to be a little bit different than the other two. This one is by Cetaphil. So Cetaphil is probably not considered the most sexy name in skincare when we talk about these other more niche, smaller companies that are really trying to have fancy marketing to really get in there. But Cetaphil has been around a long time and is, if not the most recommended dermatologist brand, one of the most recommended brands by dermatologists. I love using Cetaphil products. I've had their cleanser for the face and the moisturizer in my bathroom for well over a decade now. I consistently use their products and recommend them to my patients, and they are continuing to innovate and to listen to customer demands, and I think they really hit the nail on the head with this sunscreen. This is an SPF 50 sheer mineral face liquid sunscreen. So just like the 11 by Venus, this is a completely mineral sunscreen. It is a fluid, liquid, sheer feel, should be able to be used well with makeup. This has an advantage over the other two. It is water resistant for up to 80 minutes. So that is, I think, a real advantage. If you are going to be sweating or swimming, you can still use this one and not have to worry about sunscreen reapplication within only a few minutes. It's going to stay on the skin despite that water. Just like the Mega Shade, you get 1.7 fluid ounces in this bottle, but the biggest advantage that this one carries is the price. You can pick this one up for $11.99 at Target. It's also available on Walmart. It's also available on Amazon. Lots of other retailers have this. So at a significantly better price point, you get a little bit bigger size than the 11, and it is still a totally mineral sunscreen, and it's water resistant. So this really puts I think a big challenge to our first two, and we're going to test it out. This is the Sheer Mineral Face Liquid Sunscreen SPF 50. It is water resistant, which is part of the reason I wanted to leave that for the end, just because it's going to be a little harder to wash off as we test the other ones. You get the same amount of sunscreen here as you do in the Zit Stick-Up, but you get it for almost 75% less money. The cap twists off and we have just a little dropper application. So by far this is going to be the easiest to dispense. We don't have to go back in the bottle multiple times in order to grab the sunscreen out of there. And we're not going to waste any sunscreen at the end or have to tip the bottle and dispense it in a manner that it wasn't intended, because it's got a really easy to use dropper here. So we can just turn this upside down and pour exactly how much we want in there. This is a little bit thicker than the first two sunscreens, so it's a little bit more viscous. The other two were a little bit more runny, so to speak. I would say that the 11 by Venus was the most fluid, the most runny of the three. This one is the least. So again, we've got about as much sunscreen as I want here. You can see that just doesn't run quite as quick as the others. And we're going to put this on the skin. A lot more white as we get it on the hands. So hopefully this won't leave a white cast, but it's starting out that way. Takes a little bit more work to rub this one in. All right, so looking at things now, I feel like it's rubbed in pretty well, and it does not really leave me a white cast when I look in the mirror. I feel like in the camera I do see a little bit of a white cast, but not when I look in my bathroom mirror. I feel like it's really good on the skin. It feels very lightweight. You could use makeup over the top of this. This one certainly took a little bit more work to rub in, but eventually it went in great and it was a lot easier to dispense. And again, the price point is so much better than the other ones. So let's sit down and give you my final thoughts on that. Okay, so after using the Cetaphil, now this one, I didn't feel like it left much of a white cast, but as I looked a little bit closer after having it on the skin for a few minutes, I definitely felt like I could see a little bit of it. So this may not be the most desirable one if you have a darker skin tone. As I have pretty fair skin, or if you have pretty fair skin, I think you'll find this one to be really cosmetically elegant, but it's probably going to have just a little bit of a touch of white cast. So you do have to take that into consideration. The method of application was certainly easier than either of the two others that had that dropper style. And the price is probably the biggest selling point for the Cetaphil. You're getting it for $11.99, essentially $12. You're getting almost a 75% reduction off the price of the Zit Sticka, and even more than that off of the 11 by Venus. So that is a big thing to take into consideration. This does have, vitamin E in it. It's really good for, sensitive skin. The others I don't think would have any problems with sensitive skin either, and they also have other nourishing and hydrating ingredients in them. So to recap, let's talk about all three. First was the Mega Shade by Zit Sticka. This one is $40 for 50 milliliters or 1.7 ounces. This goes on very smooth. I think just a touch sticky initially, but that goes away really quick, leaving a really nice finish on the skin. This one, I would highly recommend. I'll continue to use this one, and I would continue to purchase that. 11 by Venus, perhaps one of the most cosmetically elegant zinc sunscreens that I've ever tried, especially for a 25% zinc. That's one of the highest that I've ever used in a sunscreen. Neither this one nor the one before by Zit Sticka are water resistant, and my biggest gripe with 11 is the method of application. This is just not a very consumer-friendly dropper. I don't like it. I think that they need to redesign it and make it a little bit better. It took 4 pumps out of this to get enough in my hand to feel like I got a good even application. It was 2 with Zit Sticka, and it was just a really easy just pour it out for the Cetaphil. So that's my biggest gripe about this. Second, of course, would be price. It's expensive, $50 for 1 ounce. So you get the least amount here. And I do worry that you're going to waste product at the end because the dropper doesn't go all the way down. You're going to have to start to pour that out just in order to get everything that's in the bottle. And last Cetaphil, we just talked about it. You get 1.7 ounces and it's only $12 essentially. Just a touch of a white cast, so maybe not as friendly for darker skin types, but if you have a lighter skin type, this is going to work really well. It'll work well under makeup. This is one that I would highly recommend if you have fair skin. So let's talk about which one I think is the winner. Well, as far as just my favorite of the three to put on my skin and use on a consistent basis is probably going to be Zit Sticka. I still love the way that it feels. It's really not too bad for a method of application. You get 2 droppers and that's about enough to cover the whole face. It is a little bit more expensive, but I feel like it strikes a pretty good balance between being cosmetically elegant, between the price, between the amount that you get. So Zit Sticka is still probably my favorite to use of the three. If you must have a mineral sunscreen, I think that the 11 by Venus is more cosmetically elegant than Cetaphil. So as far as a mineral sunscreen, that one is probably the winner, but the price is a drawback. If you're shopping on a budget, you're going to want to go with the Cetaphil. Cetaphil wins by far on price and method of application. So it's really got a leg up on the other two for that. They each have their own strengths. I can't say that I wouldn't recommend any of them to anybody, but there's going to be some nuances as to which one you'll choose. So let me know down in the comments which one you would choose, which one you like, and why you would pick it. Also, I'm going to have links down in the description of the video. If you want to purchase them, you can do that through those links. They are affiliate links, so just be aware of that. Thank you for supporting the channel. And let me know what other products you guys would like me to review in the future, what other head-to-heads you'd like to do. If you missed the last one that I did comparing the Mario Badescu pimple patches to the Zit Sticka Killa patch to kind of help hide those pimples and get rid of them quickly, go ahead and check out that video, and then I'll get some new things lined up for you here in the future. Thank you for watching, thank you for supporting the channel, and I'll see you back next time.